Ed with Victory Glass here to show you how to roll a color sheet into a color cylinder. Now, Victory sells color sheets for various different models, Seeburg, Rock-Ola, Wurlitzer. Some of them have no internal structure like the Rock-Olas and Seeburg, some have a cage. It's the same theory on how to roll it, depending on just a few minor differences between each one. So let's get started. This is the sheet that we're going to be rolling. I have already trimmed the ends off. It is shipped very much like this with the ends. You leave this clear on, but we just trim the ends off, and you can trim it to different lengths. Sometimes these are meant to fit a couple different machines. So I trim those ends off. This is right at the edge. If there's a little clear on here, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to peel the protective film off. Now, protective film is on the non-printed side. So the printed side is, I always put it on the inside, because then when it's all done, you can clean it if anything gets on it without cleaning off the printing. Other pieces and things I'm going to need is I'm going to need the end caps. You're going to need 1/8 inch aluminum rivets, and these are 1/8 inch diameter, and the grip is 1/8 inch. It looks like it's more like 1/4 inch, but it's an 1/8 inch grip length. Something to pierce it with, and you'll see that I got either a small screwdriver or X-Acto knife. I'm going to need some Scotch tape, some quality packing tape. None of this really cheap stuff. This is nice and clear. It has a nice thickness to it. I'm going to need scissors, obviously, for trimming this, and then a rivet tool. I also will need either the core, the cage if it's a Wurlitzer, or a core form. This is the way I do it. You can try rolling around anything that's the same diameter as your end cap, or what you need to be. I'm going to start by lining it up with the edge. This is a nice square cut, so I use that as my form, so I can kind of get it straight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it. I'm going to keep rolling an extra time. And the reason I do that is get it just a little bit tighter. There we go. So now I got it nice and tight. I am going to use the Scotch tape to tape down the center. And I'm putting it on the high side, and I'm going to roll it down. And this reason I get it nice, keep it nice and tight. So I'm rolling it down other than just taping straight down. It also gets less creases. So I'm going to do the same thing here. And because the printed side is on the inside, if I have to reposition tape, it's not going to take my printing off. And this is just to hold it for me to get the packing tape in place. And that's why it's good quality packing tape is important. If you use cheap packing tape, it's just going to tear, and that's all on you. So I got that on. My next thing I'm going to do is the packing tape. I am going to stretch a piece that's longer than the cylinder, and I'm going to cut it quickly. And I'm just going to start over. I didn't like the way I touched the table and itself. So I'm going to cut it longer. I'm going to cut it. There we go. And I'm just going to grab both ends. Now, do not take the gun and try to apply it across the cylinder. Uh-oh. All right, we're still good. We're still good. I am going to cut this a little long. I'm going to start applying it again to the high side. If you try to take the gun and go across the cylinder, you're going to never go straight, and you're going to end up with more wrinkles. You will end up with wrinkles no matter what. So I'm just going to start in the center, work my way up on the high side, and work my way out on the low side. I'm just pushing it down kind of in a rolling fashion. And now that it's on, it's pretty hard to do this and get no wrinkles. It also, this is something that's helpful to have a second set of hands on. And there we are. So our cylinder is made, and now let's just finish putting the end caps in. Now, some of your Rock-Ola and Seeburg cylinders may have had an internal spring on them. Because of the modern materials, the plastics these are made out of are much stronger and hold up them by themselves. Those are no longer required. I would save them, save any parts of the machine. They are kind of a trick to spin them in, but I do not need to install that anymore. So there we go. So I trimmed them off flush. I did not want the tape to come inside. You never want to tape on the inside. That's the art side. So I got on the top of the Rock-Ola cylinders, you will have a metal ring sometimes that will have to be opened up and prepared. So we have these plastic rings. Now notice that we got this tail sticking up. That's kind of the overlap from the inside. I'm starting to the side of that because that way I can just kind of work it around and in. I'm just going to keep working around the circle. This plastic ring will slip on. The metal ring will have to be put on and then crimp back into place. There we go. That is in. All right, now time to do this side. Once again, we're going to find that loose on the inside, and we're going to take this ring. The bump goes out. Now if you have a 1422 where there's a belt between them, you'll have like another piece riveted on here that will make this into a pulley. Some of the 1428s and 1426s may have had that on there, but unless there's a belt between this and the other cylinder, you don't need that. So those are not on the reproduction. But for the 1422, they are added. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make sure when I'm putting this in very carefully, because I don't want to scratch it in and out, that it is square. Or I'm pushing down on that plastic, and I'm just going to be very careful and just work it in slowly. Because it's just kind of, it should be a tight fit. I don't want to twist it like that. Sometimes it takes a couple tries, but using that overlap edge down means you're not going to be fighting that when it comes. Now if there's a ridge or burr on your original end cap, you can always file it. And now, there we go. I got that in. The last step is riveting. So I'm just going to visually check, make sure that where the cap is mostly square. It's pretty good. Now this cap is just spinning on an arbor, so there we go. So that's in and square. So I never put the rivet in the overlap first because that's going to be the hardest to pierce. I like to get one started somewhere. So I'm just going to pierce this. Now the end cap, some of the preparation that I would do if you're using your original one is just take an 1/8 inch drill bit and just hand make sure it goes through each hole. Just even on the repros, just make sure an 1/8 inch drill bit goes through so you're not fighting the metal when you're putting this in. Because once you start riveting this in, you can't get to the inside to work on it until you drill everything out. Now, rivet gun basics or rivet tool, I'm going to open it up. Make sure that this is on 1/8 inch or on the smaller diameter, all the way down, and I'm going to squeeze. Now when I release this, do not be pushing against the surface, do not be pushing down. That's when you pop that pin back inside and it never goes well. See that little bit? I'll go up and just re-bottom it out. If you do that, you'll have a good chance of your rivets popping every time without wasting it or starting over. Now if you're take your time. If you're a little bit hasty on this, you could have problems. Now, originally there was this little snap fastener that would just push in and kind of cut on the way in. Those are no longer produced, so if you have them, definitely keep them. You can reuse them. Finding it when it's an overlap is kind of hard. Sometimes you might put a scratch in there, it might be a blemish, the printing might be a little off. That's okay, it's behind something. So don't beat yourself up too much on what it looks like. You want to just get the color. So once again, I'm not pushing against the surface when going down. I'll do this last one. This one's always the hardest, and this is in the double side. Sometimes I kind of drill it out with the X-Acto. There we go. All right. There we go. One animation cylinder for Rock-Ola 1428 is done, but you can apply that techniques to 1100, 1015, anything with a cage, the Seeburg Animation C, and various other models. So hopefully that helps you next time you get your color cylinder sheets, color sheets. Oh, and the AMIs, the AMI A, B, C, D, and E also have very similar. They have different end caps, but very similar where you have to roll them. So it's going to apply to all those, just different lengths, different heights, different diameters. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.